Welcome to the Modern Contractor podcast. Today I'm lucky to have Brian LaPelusa on with us, and he is the owner of LaPelusa Home Improvement. And they have been doing exterior and interior work for homeowners in the Chicago proper area for over 62 years, right, Brian?
Yep, this is our 62nd year.
So he's got a lot of knowledge in this area, and I think our discussion today will bring up some good topics for contractors to maybe implement into their business or give them ideas of what can make their business stronger. Brian, why don't you just give us a short summary about your company?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the invitation to be a part of your program. So we are family owned and operated, and I am the second generation owner. My dad started the business back in the early 60s. He's still around and doing well, but he has not been a part of the business for over 20 years. And now it's my brother Tony and I. We have two major segments. One segment is, like you said, window and door replacement and exteriors, roofing, siding, decks, and stuff like that. And then the other segment is renovation work, which includes room additions, kitchens, basements, bathrooms, and that kind of stuff. What's interesting in our business is that the dollar volume is exactly split. So we're about 6 million, and 3 million of that is windows, and 3 million of that is renovations. But when you count the quantity of jobs, of course, there's a lot more window jobs than there are renovation jobs. But what we've seen this year is that the renovation jobs are the big ticket stuff, which is coming back in a big way. Uh, we we have a showroom, office, and warehouse location on major arterial street in Chicago called Milwaukee Avenue. We've been here since 1988, and this is when I start to feel like an old guy. And prior to that, we were in other locations in the city. We have never subcontracted any of our installations, and we have just perennial relationships with a lot of really good vendors.
Okay, so that's you started off with something very unique. There's not many companies out there that could make the statement that we've never subcontracted a job. So how do you tell us about your ongoing efforts to find good employees? How you go about that?
Yeah, and that's been skilled labor is been there's a whole story to that. But let me clarify. In the renovation work, obviously we're going to subcontract concrete and plumbing and electric and that kind of stuff. But what I refer to no subcontracting, it's all the carpentry.
Mhm.
And we have full staff here of highly experienced and knowledgeable carpenters. Um, and before I get to how you acquire them and how you attract them, it's more important to understand how you retain them. We've
Absolutely.
Absolutely is right. We've learned, over all of our years that uh, the central core is for the employee to feel valued. They need to feel like they are contributing to the success of the company. That is extremely important. I'll give you an example. So we incentivize ideas. I always say, I preach to my staff, don't ever just come to me with a complaint. Come to me with a suggestion for an improvement. Um, Identify the problem and then offer a way to make it better. And over the years, whether we think it's a good idea or not, we implement it immediately just to show them that, yeah, absolutely. Come to us with your ideas. We're going to be open. We care about what you think. We want your experience to be good here. And that's been the number one most successful part of retaining an employee, to make them feel like, yeah, that, I matter to these guys. I matter to the company. Aside from that, another big part of retaining good employees is compensation. We have an employee benefits package that would rival FedEx with full boat of benefits. I am shocked how many window replacement contractors these days still pay their guys cash with no benefits. You're not going to keep them. You're not going to keep them that way. We got 401k with dollar for dollar match. We got full medical and dental, not only for the employee, but for their family. We've got 2 weeks paid vacation, all major holidays paid. They get a monthly stipend, which is a lot. Um, and that's money that they can take it to Vegas if they want. It's just a monthly stipend for each employee. Anytime they ask for time off, they're never refused, no matter what the reason. And just to accommodate, whatever their personal plans are, if they got to do something with their kid, we never say no to that kind of thing. We have enough staff to kind of make up for it if someone needs a last minute day off. Um, and other stuff too. We'll take them on excursions. We'll take all the carpenters out on Lake Michigan for chartered fishing every year, and they get paid. They get paid the whole day while they're having fun on the boat. We'll do other things throughout the year to make sure that they know that we're not like power hungry and money hungry owners. We share on that. But in terms of attracting them, this is or acquiring them. This is what we have found to be the most successful. And this might be unique to a company that has been doing renovation work for a long time. Instead of like LinkedIn or uh, what's the other big one? Monster or what?
Indeed, and then
Yeah.
ZipRecruiter.
Which we've tried with moderate success, but the best way we've found experienced labor trades that we know are going to come off a good referral is to ask around all the other trades that we work with, like electricians and plumbers and concrete contractors, and we've picked up some excellent employees. A lot of those subs in renovation are independent contractors. They're not the type that have their own website. They're not advertising to homeowners. They work for builders. So they're not the type where they would be ever competition. So they've been a tremendous source of referrals, and that's been the most successful way for us to find qualified, experienced carpenters that have turned. We have 3 of them right now that have been acquired that way.
I appreciate you bringing that up. That's something that we haven't really done a lot of, and it's a great idea to talk to. I mean, we do additions and things, and we interact with a lot of different trades, and that's a tremendous way to look for people because they know who they like working with, and they've seen people do stuff, and they've been on projects with those people. So that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and see, well, like the one I'm thinking of right now, his name is John. We got him from a referral off of our plumber, and our plumber was like, "Man, that would be a great opportunity for this guy because right now I pay him cash, I give him no benefits, and with a company like yours, he can really build a future, and enjoy full employee benefits." And that's and we cultivate those relationships. That plumber, for example, we've been working with him for over 30 years.
Yeah.
So you're more than just a builder and sub relationship. You're kind of friends. We invite them to our Christmas parties and stuff like that. So they get to know us as people, and they know, like this plumber told his worker John, said, you got to take this opportunity. They're looking for someone, and they're really good people to work with.
Well, you obviously are creating a great culture. Tell me more. Well, when you tell people about all the benefits, you interact with a lot of other trades, a lot of other contractors. Why is it that people are so? I know at a time in my career, I always thought of everything as an expense. I tried to keep how much I paid people down. I tried to keep everything down. And when my business really took off is when I went with your philosophy and said, okay, I'm going to pay well, and I'm going to get quality people because they're more productive in the end. They make happier customers and all that. But when you talk to other contractors, it's just amazing to me how they're when you tell them you have all the benefits, a lot of them are like, well, we can't do that. A lot of stuff you just talked about, a lot of contractors would fight us about and say, well, we can't do that. We just don't have the ability. What would you tell them?
So I would suspect that we don't have the ability means we don't have the money for that. So if they're going to grow, they need to adjust their job costing to account for the additional overhead that it's going to cost the company to offer that to the employees. Sounds pretty simple. But so many contractors, especially if they haven't been around for a long time, they're so afraid to charge for what their value is.
Mm-hmm.
I've helped so many contractors right here in Chicago where I'll tell them, you can charge more for your, I've seen your estimates. People send them to me. You can charge more for your money, and they're just so afraid that because they think every estimate that they send out has to be as competitive as they can make it. When the truth is, you really never even know what if that homeowner's getting two or three estimates. You don't know what they're looking at. They could be looking at a company that has major overhead like Renewal by Anderson, and they can be looking at an estimate from a single proprietorship or LLC where the guy works out of his house and he's got barely no overhead. Um, and it's your job as the salesperson to impress upon them how your company commands the cost in your estimate. And in our experience, even when we're the most expensive and we're still awarded the project, it's entirely because of that. I'll hear things like, Brian, you were the only one who really made us feel like we were going to get the best job from you. And that's why we're willing to pay a little bit more because we feel like we're going to get a better job. So it's you can't let your reputation sell it for you. When I'm in a house, I'm an overachiever. So I even if my reputation precedes me, like today, I got a couple leads from Facebook groups, which are fantastic, by the way. Um, it's a type of lead where it's such a high quality that I would have to lose that. I'd have to try and screw it up because they're already getting a referral from family, friends, and neighbors. And there's no better way. Review sites have lost their credibility, in my opinion. We have terrific reviews everywhere, but you never Google reviews. They're not verified. When people read those, think of when you see a restaurant review. Do you believe any of it? No, that they've lost credibility. But when it's a referral from a Facebook group, which is family, friends, and neighbors, that's the most organic way, the most genuine way to get a review on a company, good or bad. And when I go in, I try to like overachieve on that, thinking, all right, they already have a high opinion of me, and now I'm going to make it even higher. And that's what gives them the confidence to spend, the money that it takes to hire a caliber like ours.
Tell me, when you say Facebook group, what do you mean specific? I'm going to be very honest. I'm not on social media. So anything that you see about me on social media, somebody else has done. But um, what do you specifically mean about Facebook group? Are you talking about your Facebook page? They came there, or
No, no, good question. I'm not a socials guy either. Although I'll admit, I just signed up on Instagram because I have a brand new granddaughter, first one, and my daughter, puts up pictures, and that's a great way to see my granddaughter every day because they live in KC. Um, so the way the Facebook groups work, where like say one homeowner, decides, okay, I'm in the market now for windows and doors. They send out a message to their contacts saying, "Hey, we need new windows and doors for our house. Does anybody have a recommendation?" So then anybody in their group can reply saying, "All right, yeah, absolutely. Call Brian at LaPelusa. They did all ours. They did a great job, and we give them our full endorsement." Then subsequent, if you're lucky, and this has happened a few times, it's such an honor. But when another person in the group can see that comment and either like it or put a hashtag on it or something where it's like a double endorsement. And I've been told at times where, because, just like you, I'm sure, and if everybody doesn't do this, you got to find out the real source of where your lead originated. I can talk about that for a long time, but in the Facebook um, uh, arena, when they call and say, yeah, there were four. After I put the note out that I was in the market for windows, there were three people in the neighborhood, and one was my cousin, who said that your company was the one to call. Um, and what's good about that is it's unlike Angie. It's unlike really any other paid service where a company can pay for a listing. A company with the Facebook groups, a company cannot even advertise. So that talk about a genuine referral. It's not. it's not someone suggesting a company because it showed up at the top of the page. It's because they've actually had experience with them. And when that person who first put out the question gets all this feedback, and they might have gotten feedback negative on another company. So it's not something a company can jump on like an opportunity and advertise. It's strictly just the people in that Facebook group.
Well, I appreciate that. Uh, we were talking about pricing, and everybody's scared to charge what they're worth. I have a quote. It was from Seth Godin, and I want to see what your reaction to it is, because I think it kind of leads off of that. Racing to the bottom is no fun because you might win.
Oh, oh, I like that.
What thoughts come to mind after hearing that?
Well, I would never race to the bottom. So the way I think about it when we present a proposal with our standard pricing, if we're not awarded the project because of price, they weren't a good fit for us anyway. Um, but the American consumer buying behavior has changed so much, and with all of the major guns out there like Pella Retail and Anderson Renewal, and here in Chicago we have a company called Feldco. There's Power Windows and all these giant, national chains. They've set the standard. They've set the standard where there's got to be, an ongoing promotion for $150 off per window and 400 off per door, or some crazy, 0% financing for 4 years. Consumers don't realize that all costs money, and it's built in. Uh, so the younger contractors sometimes think, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give them a price and they can take it or leave it. I've actually heard contractors say that. So I think it's important for a small business to adapt to the market. The market will never adapt to a company. So when the market conditions command that type of sales process, no matter what, you have to adapt to that. So like in our quotations, for example, we have a financing offer and we have 3 discounts available, depending on what their project is. And that since we initiated that, I think about 12 years ago, sales spiked quite a bit because people feel like they have the control. Like, okay, there's a list price, and that list price is actually pretty competitive with the other quote I got. But this guy, he's offering these 3 discounts where I can drive my price down, and I'm still getting the same job from the better company. I can go into detail on the discounts if you like.
Go ahead. Then I'm gonna talk to you about my philosophy, and we might not be in the same park on this one, but we'll talk through it.
Yeah. So the significant majority of our window and door replacement is in multifamily and commercial space in Chicago. So condos, like right now, I told you we're doing 260 windows on a high rise. I think it's 26 floors. And it started with one homeowner calling for the windows in their condo, and they had 15. So I met with those homeowners. And during the sales process, I have a sheet to show them what the available discounts are, and one that's specific to the HOAs is called a bundled installation discount. And that percentage of the discount is dependent on the number of participants that the homeowner recruits. We kind of joke about it that you got to get to work here and recruit some of your neighbors. So I'll fast forward in this one and turned into 22 orders after one sales visit because of that incentive.
Well, that's a little bit different than Felco and some of the companies, because that's a legitimate discount. You're just saying, hey, you bring me more business, and I'm gonna, that's a really legitimate discount. A lot of these companies just have discounts to have discounts, and they call them whatever they call them.
Legitimate is the good word, and the way I think about it is it's very believable. It's
Mm-hmm.
everybody understands there's going to be a volume discount for a group order. In fact, they expect it sometimes, and So in their eyes, they're like, yeah, this is for real. This isn't phony baloney. It's not like they inflate their price and then, cut it under. Um, we also offer a cash back discount if they waive financing and they pay cash terms.
Mhm.
And then we also offer what we call a combined order discount. So if we measure 7 rooms in the house, each room gets its own separate price. And then to incentivize, adding more than just one line items, because when you get an itemized quote, they might call back and say, you know what, Brian, we're just going to do the patio door and the windows in the kitchen for right now. So that's one line item. The other line item might be bedrooms and so on and so forth on the list and all the different rooms. So the combined order incentivizes them to include those other rooms in addition to the kitchen. Very believable too, kind of in the same way where they understand that there's efficiency. It costs a crew much less to come out and do 15 windows than it does to come out and do one door and one window. So, it's very believable that, you got the crew, you got the trucks, you got the materials, you got the equipment, everything's there on site. Of course, it's going to be less expensive. And I've even heard from homeowners that it's awesome that you do that because this other guy said no matter what, all he would give me is $200 off the whole job if I ordered everything. So they don't have a systemized discount structure in place, which makes it a little less credible.
Those are very, very different than the discounts we hear about here, where they're just marking it up and taking those off. I actually, when we're offline sometime, I would really like to see that last one, how you present that.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing about it is that it's very naturally believable. It doesn't seem like phony baloney. And I always joke with homeowners that who really believes they're getting 2 windows for the price of one?
Yeah.
It works, but who really, do you really believe you're getting a whole window for free? The our discounts just make sense where you don't have any of that question or wonder like are they playing games or this it's real.
What other things do you do to when employees do good things? What other type of things do you do to reward them or to shout outs? What other things do you incorporate to make the team the culture you're building?
We used to have different programs in the past that involved like a reward in like wages, like pay. Um, and that was like moderately successful. What we learned though, what's more important than money to our employees is their treatment, respect, honesty, respectful, the character of the company. And if you notice this, you may find this at your company, um, but our crews and our staff, they take on the personalities of the owners. It's the same in sports teams. It's the same in other arenas where the the group always follows the leader in how you treat people, how you talk to people, how you don't talk to people. So there's what we do to recognize is someone that comes to us with a good idea is like I said already. First of all, implement it immediately, even if you don't think it's a good idea. The last thing they want to hear after you've preached to them to come with us ideas, come to us with ideas instead of just a complaint. Is okay. Well, what are you saying, man? I come to you with an idea and you trash it right away. That's counterproductive. That's not good treatment. That's going to be a backfire. That's going to be like you're going against your word. So number one is to immediately implement it, even if it costs the company money. So we do that without exception. I just had someone today ask if they could buy some equipment. If the company could buy some equipment for a project, and I did not hesitate for a second. Said absolutely. Get the information over to our project coordinator, Lisa Cortez. She'll do some research and get it ordered. And then secondly, we will make sure that everybody in the company knows that so and so came to us with an idea and it was implemented, and it's made things better already. And we'll be specific on how it's made, how it has made things better. Another way is when we get a good review, we make a big deal about it here. Everybody knows that we got a good review, and we make sure everybody knows that the biggest reason we got this positive review is because of you guys. And then if someone gets a special mention, like let's say an email after we're done with an installation, someone will send me an email saying, "Hey, Brian, the guys were awesome. Steve and John, especially, they're super professional, very polite, and super clean in the house." We will make sure that, again, the entire office, the entire company will know that these guys got a special shout out, and that that breeds a sense of like camaraderie, and it kind of creates a little bit of like, man, that's for the one who didn't get the special mention. They're like, all right, well, I want that recognition, so they try harder next time.
Okay. And we do. What do you use? Do you have do you have a tool you use for like Teams or anything for the company where you guys post stuff and talk about those things, or is it just like email or?
Uh, it's more we make it physical, so
Okay.
we'll do printouts and post them up on the wall for everybody to see. We'll put it on the conference table. We'll put it on the desk as soon as people walk in to see. We make it more like that.
Okay.
I don't know. It just seems to be a little bit more personal.
Well, I asked because my marketing director's sitting right here, and I know that we do some with the teams. I just thought we'll see other ways we can make it a little bit more personal too. So thank you for that idea too. You're helping me out today. I appreciate you coming on.
But when you've been around for 62 years, you like to think you've picked up a couple things.
Okay, what in our industry, what the trends that you're seeing, what excites you the most for the future of our industry?
Like uh like what do I expect for 2026 in terms of like
Sure. Or
market?
I'm kind of I was kind of leaning towards seeing if you'd come back with something about AI. What do you think the effect on let's just talk about the remodeling industry as a whole. What do you think? What are you feeling the impact of that's going to be?
Yeah, so I think there's going to be. I have to preface this by saying that I'm the window and door guy. My brother Tony is the renovation guy.
Okay.
He is starting to bring back to the office a lot of stuff from architect's office and designer's office and even supplier's offices where a lot of it is AI based. Where I get nervous about that is it's so brand new and everybody's using it. We still have a lot to learn about what's not good about it. Um, my son's a doctor; he's a hematologist oncologist, and he'll tell me that the worst thing that any doctor wants to hear is a patient say, "Well, I Googled it." Okay, really? Or they did a chat GPT on it and they got information that way, thinking that the computer is the doctor instead of the doctor being the doctor. I think the danger is that it could set the seed of some kind of misconception in a homeowner's mind before they really get deep with the contractor to find out, what we can bring in terms of knowledge and experience of, more realistic and real life advice than what that crazy AI internet search does. I'm very uh, keeping a very open mind about that. We're not diving into it ourselves as a company. We want stuff to kind of develop a little bit more before we commit to that. An example is like a hard example. You might know about this. When spray foam insulation first came out, there were so many critics, specifically architects and engineers, because the first uh, formula for spray foam included cyanide as an ingredient. So people were saying this could be the next lead, So that 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 industry needed to develop before it got perfected to the point where it was reliable and you didn't have worries. I feel the same way about AI myself. And I don't think AI is going to get too heavy into the window and door world. There was one guy at the Pella Summit that talked about it, and I was very skeptical about that whole presentation. I think a lot more needs to be learned before um, I'm willing to really invest in that to help the company.
Okay.
What I do see for 2026 though, this has kind of been happening for a little while, and it might sound obligatory, but it's absolutely real. Where people right now are deciding, "No, we're not selling. We're going to stay where we're at and we're going to fix up what we have." That's why our renovation business has just been off the charts this year. Big ticket stuff, 1.5 million plus. And uh, who's going to give up a 3% mortgage for a 6.9, 6.7 or whatever it is today? Uh, and overpay because the inventory is so upside down in the real estate market that the sellers have complete command of that, where real estate agents are really testing the market right now. They know that house is only worth 450, but they're listing it for 585 and they're getting over that in a sale price. That you're way overpaying for a house.
Oh, absolutely. Right
So
now.
people know that, and so they're making the decision, and they actually, they communicate this to us where we decided just to stay here and fix up what we got. So we're going to order windows. We're going to have you guys do a kitchen, and so that's a very positive sign for people like us and renovation and window and door replacement for sure.
I'm I'm a big proponent of customer experience. How to grow a company is by having a great customer experience. What are some things you do that are unique, you believe, to your business to make sure your customers have a great experience?
Oh gosh, there's a lot there. Uh, Probably the most useful for a window and door company would be to make your sales process systematic. There are every single sales appointment. I still go on them. I'm not going to for much longer, but I still go on them because I enjoy it. If someone asks me what's the favorite part of your job, I love meeting new people every day. It's
Hmm.
fascinating. It's just fascinating to meet different people. Um, but a lot of times you walk in the house, even though you've had the phone conversation, and on the phone conversation, we follow up our phone conversation. When someone first calls here, we always have a personal call with them first. We explain what the visit's going to be like, and then we follow that up with an email confirming the date and time, and we tell them what it's going to be like. People don't read, people don't listen. They get you there, and right away they want to start talking about, what they want to show you. And I'll just you got to be super gentle with this, but I'll kind of put the brakes on a little bit and just say, all right, I just want to explain what today's going to be like. Uh, uh, Step by step by step by step, and then at the end you explain what there is to expect from here. um, and I hear from homeowners at the end when I'm done. I'll hear it all the time. No one has taken the time to explain all this to us. The guy came in, he measured, and he was gone in 15 minutes. So it's about establishing a rapport, and you got to differentiate yourself. You got to, when you leave, you need to make it where they're going to remember you because you were the guy. You were the only one who explained this. Here's one specific example: a building code. It's an international building code that exists after Eric Clapton's son fell out of an Anderson window in 1985, I think, and it was a Holiday Inn. His son died. He wrote that song. Uh, and the window opening control devices and limited operators became necessary, specifically in multifamily Chicago here. And it's amazing. It's alarming how many window replacement experts don't know about this building code. And when I mention it to them, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're the first one and the only one to mention that. You must be very knowledgeable." So it's an example of how you can just get them to remember you in your head. Yeah, that was the guy that talked about that code. Um,
We get that with egress all the time.
yep,
We get it all the
yep,
time. Well, nobody else brought this up. Well,
that's a good example
then
too. So they're gonna,
we just did our job. We're different now.
yeah, for sure. So uh, to answer your question, so that's like a micro answer. The macro answer to your question is, as a company owner, you need to really understand what your value proposition is. And I smirk a little bit because a lot of very successful companies, the owners don't even know what a value proposition is. Um, and it's basically the same thing we just talked about. What is it exactly about your company that makes you different from any of your competitors in explaining why that homeowner chose you instead of anybody else? And I'll hear like, oh, well, we've been in business for 40 years. We do quality work. We don't subcontract. We're in the neighborhood. We're local. You know what? None of that matters. Everybody else, a lot of other companies have that. There's no value proposition there. What is it specifically about you? It's not price. It's not your discounts. And so I'll explain what mine is. Ours is a little unique, and it'll be because you're getting into commercial, Brian. Our crews are on lift equipment, hoisting machinery, swing baskets, exterior stages hanging from the roof of a building. There's not a lot of contractors that have the experience, knowledge, and will to do that kind of project. And so many times when I get connected with a homeowner through an HOA referral or a property management company referral, those are two things you should look into. They know that they'll be like, I'm just glad I found someone who can do my job. I call in all these companies and they say they can't work above 3 floors. And I said, yeah, well, absolutely. There's a big difference between, commercial installations and in those buildings, the wall construction is a lot different than a ranch in the suburbs. You don't want an inexperienced crew figuring out how to work with that on your home. So they're like, all right, this guy really is a specialist. He knows exactly what to do. Subframe installations, receptor installations. You need a whole set of knowledge and equipment to do those types of projects, where the single family guys would have no idea and they would be, trying to figure it out, on the job site. So the value proposition for us is that we're the one that is willing, not only able to do the project, but willing. And that's and there's a few of us in Chicago. There's a real good Marvin Windows guy in Northbrook, and there's others, but that's that the owner of the contracting company needs to understand exactly what their unique value proposition is, and then to really drive that home when you're in during sales, so they understand that this is what is different about me compared to the competitors.
That's funny. Our sales meeting this Friday is, well, they don't know yet, but that's 100% what we're going to sit down and talk through and make sure that they're armed with what we are. We have many things that we're unique with, but we need to, I think that we can do a better job of communicating those to the customer throughout the process. And as the owner, when I go to, because I love appointments too, I'm still running really hard every day on appointments because I like to meet people, and it's my favorite part of the job. But I think that we could, as a team, we can do a better job of putting that value proposition out there, because we do have some very unique things that nobody else in our market does. So we need to make sure that the customers are very aware of those.
Absolutely.
But other than that, though, Elizabeth at Pella got us hooked up, and she hooked me up with like 5 contractors for the podcast. And honestly, I think she actually sat around and really thought about it, because every single person that's been on the podcast seems like they're my brother. With the way they think, the way they run their business, the things, it's eerily, it's almost scary how well she did. But do you have anything else you want to throw in?
Uh, are you interested in any of the platinum program history? Maybe not.
Well, go ahead.
I'll throw it. You can edit it out if you want. So it was
We'll leave it in, okay? We promise. Unless you really go off the rails, then we're gonna have to do something.
No, it's interesting if you're a Pella contractor. It
Yeah.
really is because
Well, it's interesting. It would be good for people that even aren't, so they'll learn a little bit about the program and they might get interested in looking into it more.
it is a terrific program. There's no question about it. And here, so we've actually been a certified Pella contractor. That's what they used to call it, a CPC, certified Pella contractor. And I have plaques on my wall here from 1989. Uh, and it just over the years became a dead program. It wasn't helpful. It was just real dry. It was more annoying than anything. And then in 2012, Pella Corporate, because the Chicago branch is corporate owned. So Pella Corporate sent Paul Parks of Pella from Texas to take over in Chicago as GM. And immediately he made the contractor program his number one priority. Because I talk to Pella Chicago employees, they'll tell me, you guys are our bread and butter. Is one of the largest markets in the U.S. Paul recognized that, and he said, "We really got to change this. There's a major missed opportunity here." So in 2012, he authored the Platinum Program, revamped it 100%. He handpicked five of us. I was one of five handpicked to, I guess, kind of beta the program in Chicago. It was not a corporate beta. I believe it was just something Paul was doing in Chicago because uh, in 5 years, I believe the number that I heard was the five of us in 5 years. So from 2012 to 2017, our sales increased collectively by 500%, attributed to the program. So corporate got wind of they said, these guys are on fire. We have to scale this nationwide. And that's when Pella hired Elizabeth. And her first, order of business was to take Paul's program, revise it to accommodate, maybe more contractors, not just the super high achieving guys, the million plus sales every year. Um, and she went on a tour. She went across all the major markets in the U.S. to unveil the new Platinum program. And I believe Chicago was the second one on purpose. I can't remember why, but when she was coming to Chicago, she called me. She says, "Hey, I was wondering if we could meet before I present tomorrow." And we had a 2.5, 3 hour meeting at a restaurant, and I was just unloading different ideas to genuinely help launch the program successfully. And then the next day was her presentation at Pella Chicago headquarters, and there's about 40 of us in the room. So it was contractors and their rep. I'm sitting next to my rep, great guy, I've known him forever. And Elizabeth gets up to the podium after a couple people speak, and she's got a giant screen for a PowerPoint up. What does she have in the first slide? A picture of me. And so she goes through the whole thing. And afterwards, I went up to her and said, "Hey, I'd like to, have a talk with you. I can't stay right now." And we did. So we scheduled a 2 or 3 calls after. And I said, "Okay, you can count on me for straight talk. There's some major mistakes here. The first mistake was making the sales volume threshold to become platinum 150,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Elizabeth, think of what you just did. You're really going to give the same achievement recognition to a guy who does 150 to the guy who does a million? You're hurting us more than you're helping us. Separate it. Have those high achievers in a separate category called Platinum Elite." And that she got it right away, and that was changed immediately. And everything. The summit, for example, I was the one who brought her that idea. I said in the first phone call after her tour, I said, imagine the benefit of pulling all your top guys from the entire U.S. to one place so that you can have a guy from Chicago sitting across from a guy from Florida, a guy from Colorado, a company, I should say, not a guy. And that's happened. I've seen people. There's a great couple in a great company in Colorado. We find each other at every summit. There's a great couple who own a company, I think, in Minnesota, and we find each other every summit and just talk. And that what you're able to do in that situation is share ideas, like kind of like we're doing now, with a non-compete market. I would never sit down with the Chicago guys and give them all our trade secrets, right? Because sometimes they're competitors, not a lot, but they are, and that you get that comfort knowing, okay, I'm talking to a guy from Colorado. I don't have to worry about what he does with our company secrets. In fact, I hope I can help him with ours, and I hope they can help me. And so that's what led to it, and it's been something that everybody looks forward to every year. And then after that, I guess guys like you and Eric and Bob, there was even an additional level of endorsement, which I qualify for all except the exclusivity. We've been around for 62 years. We've had Andersen windows on display since 1971. That doesn't make me sound like an old guy.
Your dad was running back then.
Yeah, we can't do that. We got too many customers out there with half a house of Andersen windows, and if they call us now and say, "Hey, we want to finish our windows," we can't say, "Well, we're going to switch you over." Can't do that. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Well, you still got a great company, and I learned some good things today. I think this is the first podcast I wrote notes, and I'm not saying anything negative about any of the other guys, but you hit some new things that I really enjoyed. And I really do appreciate you being on the 9th episode of this podcast. And we're going to keep trying to help contractors across the country. And
appreciate the opportunity. I'd like to come out and see you sometime.
Or I'll come to you, or let's get together for sure. We'll figure it out.
Sure, sounds good. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for the Modern Contractor podcast number 9. I really appreciate you taking a look at it. And if we can help in any way, just reach out. If you're liking this, please like and subscribe, and keep up with all the content we have to offer at the Modern Contractor.